Welcome to the Nautic Nomad podcast. I'm your host, Randy Berry. Throw off the bow lines, sit back and relax as we discover adventure, explore the world on water, and share about everything yachting. What's up, nomads? Today we have Gemma, aka the Yacht Stew. If you aren't already following her on Instagram, go and check her out right now. She's such a stunning person. She is a chief stewardess on board super yachts, and she's talking with us today about tips for first-time chief stews, leadership advice, and also to discuss bullying on board and crew kindness. Her advice for managing a team is so insightful. I feel that it's really valuable not only for chief stews, but for anyone who's in a leadership role. We also talk about how to deal with bullies on board and how to encourage a team environment. On her blog, Gemma shares excellent super yachting tips, tricks, shopping guides, cocktails, table settings, and so much more. I highly recommend checking it out at theyachtstew.com. Also, don't forget, give her a follow on Instagram at The Yacht Stew. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. This is our 6th episode ever. I'm so excited. We've had 500 downloads already all around the world. We're on the charts for the travel and lifestyle podcast, so that's just really exciting. If you like what we're doing here, please subscribe and give us a rating so that we know that you want us to make more of these episodes. If you've been listening so far and you like what we're doing, please subscribe, rate us, give us a review on the Apple Store. Let us know that you like what we're doing. All right, let's jump on in.
Thank you so much for that intro. It was so lovely. So as you said, I have a blog now, but back in the day, I definitely didn't think I'd be where I am now. I started yachting because I met a friend at uni. I was actually studying event management and hospitality and really wanted to be a wedding planner. I was a bit obsessed with that movie with J-Lo in it.
Oh, cute.
And I did a couple weddings. I was like, no, this is not for me. And so one of my girlfriends at school just told me about her time on yachts. She actually met her husband on boats as well, and all of her stories just sounded so incredible. And I was only 18 at the time and so keen to travel and not willing to settle down just about, and just really soak in more of what the world had to offer rather than just a 9-to-5. So I literally got on a flight the night I wrote my final exam at school with my best friend. I told her, I'm going to do this whole yachting thing. And she jumped on the bandwagon with me. So great starting out with a friend, because it's quite intimidating, I think, when you first rock up to Fort Lauderdale with absolutely no clue really what you're getting into. Yeah. And my whole season plan of just committing to one season and going home turned into 14, and 7 years later, I'm still here.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's been an amazing few years. And that's kind of why I started the blog, I think, because I just wish that someone had taken the time to really tell me what to expect and just listen to my thoughts and concerns and everything in between when I was starting out and even as I progressed through the industry. So that's how the Yacht Stew came about.
That's amazing. And that takes a lot of pressure off people too. I feel if people have the resources to do a bit of study themselves, like my poor first chief stew, I harassed that lady. Like I asked her every question. She saved all the emails because she was like, Randy Berry, I'm going to show you this someday, just so I can make fun of you. Like I emailed her endlessly. I was like, what shoes am I going to be wearing? She was like, Sperry topsiders. So I'm like Googling Sperry topsiders. And I'm like, what is my daily life going to look like? And she was just like, really? Who is this girl? I was like, I wanted to know everything. I was like, wanted to just picture myself what I'd be doing day in, day out. So.
That's brilliant.
A lot more cotton butting than she told me. That's for sure.
I know, you don't expect it, do you? You don't think that you're going to visualize cleaning whenever you see like a Q-tip now, but I just think of detailing.
So much of my life spent with cotton.
Oh my gosh. Don't I know? The stew life.
The stew life. But yes, and then there is the other fun stuff. But yeah, I think it's amazing what you're doing and just the information that's out there now, compared to what was just with this digital age. And that's also kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing now, trying to bring the information that we've got or that you accumulate throughout time and just make it easier accessible to people. So that's
Absolutely.
awesome. Something that we wanted to talk about today was advice that you have for new chief stews, but then also bullying and crew kindness on board. Something that's really close to your heart, and it's a great thing to talk about because I know, like I'm a very soft person. I'm from Canada, and I'm very like,
Me too.
oh, that's crazy. Where are you from in
Yeah.
Canada?
Vancouver. What
No
about you?
way.
Yeah.
I'm from the Comox Valley.
Oh my gosh, this is so
Small
crazy.
world. That's amazing. Yeah, so like I'm like a really soft person, and like going into yachting, having like there's a lot of deck crews on my first boat. There's my chief stew is married, and then my second stew had a boyfriend, and then so I was kind of like by myself hanging out with the boys, and it took a lot for me to get used to the way that they joked, and
Mm.
it's so like when you're new, and even if you're not, like if you're not used to that, it can be really like what's it called, like almost an isolating
Yeah,
experience.
it's quite intimidating.
You've been getting a lot of questions and stuff like that on your Instagram.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, it's something that I'm so passionate about because unfortunately, I've had kind of an array of chief stews over the years, and some
Mm.
have been phenomenal. And half of my chief stews were actually at my wedding not too long ago, but a
Sweet.
few of them were also, I think looking back now, probably just under an immense amount of stress and pressure. And
Right.
as a chief stew now, I can see probably what their mindset was. What I don't understand still is just how a lot of the girls are being treated. And that's something now that is just kind of at the forefront of my mind every day at work is, to ensure that the girls are never called out in front of the whole team for something that they've done wrong, to, never prolong punishment. I just think things like
Right.
that are just so unnecessary and just really outdated. It's kind of an old school way of people treating one another in this kind of environment. And I think yachting is changing and people are talking more. And I
Yeah.
think the way we're moving forward is just so fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something very important to my girls. They know when I interview them, I am so upfront with them. I'm just like, we don't do drama, we don't do attitudes. We're literally just a bunch of girls working together. We're working for a common goal, and along the way, we're
Yeah.
just hoping to make some friends. And
That's awesome.
we just don't, I don't know, I just don't take it in between. If the girls have
Right.
issues, then often I think a lot of people just say, oh, they're just having a bad day, they move on. But it could actually be something more. It could be something going on at
Right.
home that's making them act the way they are. So we always have a chat about it. And I have an open door policy anytime, any day. I've definitely had some middle of the night calls from girls, while
Oh,
I'm on
jeez.
holiday and things are going on the boat. Maybe they've just broken up with
Yeah.
their boyfriend and they're just having a terrible day. And I'm always there because I think as a chief stew, your job is to just first and foremost be there for your girls and protect them and, nourish them as they
Yeah.
grow in their careers. So
Yeah.
for me, it's just something I'm so passionate about. And we always finish every day on board with providing encouragement to the girls, whether it be myself or my second. We work really closely as a team, and we'll always be like, hey, that was a great job you did today. This was super, so on and so forth. So the girls finish up the day
That's
feeling
amazing.
kind of rewarded. They
Right.
feel, oh, I've done that today. I've accomplished this. And then when they come back tomorrow
Yeah.
morning, it's always a really positive morning meeting. And yes, things come up.
Right.
Girls, we're not all perfect. I have started in the last few seasons hiring green stews because
Okay.
I don't think a lot of boats hire enough green stews, and there's just an abundance of
Right.
girls keen to learn. And with that
Yeah.
comes a huge learning curve, and things are going to go
Yeah.
wrong sometimes. And we had incidences with guest clothing, and it was a bit of a debacle. But I think if you're just
I
firm
know.
but fair and you're never mean,
Yeah.
the girls are going to respect you more. And they're going to, build a stronger team because they all know that everyone's treated the same way. We all get the same training and we're all here to help one another. No one's here to outdo each other. That's kind of how we run our team on board.
That's amazing. Yeah, because there's no point to like add injury to insult. Like if
No,
someone's done something wrong, they know it, like for the most part.
definitely.
And,
Yeah.
and if they don't, they're like a sociopath or something. So,
When they
yeah.
read that like dry clean only label and the Chanel, waistcoat has just come out of the washing machine, they know, oops.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
I'm going to
goodness.
have to call Gemma. But
Yeah. And you know what? Like it happens to everyone. So
it
I think as
does.
long as people are upfront about it, they're like, look, I messed up. This is what I did. Like people
Totally.
are gonna respect that and be
Oh,
like,
without a
rather
doubt.
than try to hide it or I don't know what is the alternative.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'll never forget my very first boat. Like the helicopter pilot gave me this gorgeous cashmere sweater and it had a stain on the sleeve. And I was like on weekend watch doing laundry and I was like, oh, there's like this, Carbona like stain remover stuff, but it was actually like dye remover. So I
Oh
soaked the
no.
sleeve in it. Yeah, and it took the whole color off of his sleeve.
Oh my
I
gosh.
was just like, I was like, here's $200. Go buy yourself a new sweater. I'm really sorry. I was just like, no one needs to know about this. Like,
This will
that
stay
was
between us.
awful. Yeah. I mean, that was like 8 years ago now, so I can say that safely. But I was like, okay, I'm just going to own this and try to make it
Yeah.
better. But it happens. It happens, especially when you're new and you're like, I have no
Oh, for
idea.
sure. I think too, it's so important, like, as senior girls or teachers or whatever the case may be, to remember that we were all green ones. We all made those
Right.
mistakes. I can remember vividly the amount of times I put things in the wash that probably shouldn't have gone through, or if accidentally there was a lip gloss in a pocket and oh my gosh. But
Right.
it just
Right.
happens. We're human. It's
Yeah.
fine. But, I think as long as it's not a repetitive thing, then
Yeah.
hey ho, you just move on.
Right. And that's what you got to do, especially when you're,
Yeah,
like you say, you're all working towards a common goal. It's like, okay, let's, put that behind us and go for it. And if there's bad blood there, that's not going to be easy to do. If someone's being rude or being mean, it's not
absolutely.
helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That adding, well, I like that you end the day with that affirmations because I just find
Mm,
when you give people compliments, you just watch them grow like flowers. They just
mm,
shoot up. It's amazing.
yeah. Yeah. And something else
Mm.
that I started doing, I did a bit on my last boat, and then this boat I've just started doing this past season is one of my girls, for example, did service for the first time. And that
Mhm.
poor girl, oh my word, it was so full on. We usually have like, I don't know, maybe 6 guests for meal times. It's very, very strict formal silver service. So it's quite an elaborate occasion. And on her
Right.
first service, out of nowhere, the guests were like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. We forgot to tell you, Gemma. There's going to be 14 guests. I mean, we only have 12 chairs. And they're
Oh,
going to be
wow.
arriving in 15 minutes." So she was properly thrown in the deep end. And
Oh,
after
God.
I wrote her this handwritten card, and I just said, "Thank you. You did such a great
Yeah.
job. And through everything that was thrown your way, you handled it with such poise." And I think small
That's amazing.
gestures like writing a little thank you note goes such a
Yeah.
long way. And it gives them the confidence to keep going and to try and to learn better and, yeah, just to move on and move
That's
forward.
amazing.
Mm.
What about like if there's other girls who are maybe bullying other girls? Like how would you deal with that? Like if you're, experiencing it, say maybe there's two juniors and one's like kind of out to like get the third or the second spot or something like that on board.
Yeah.
Like how do you
Um,
deal with that?
I've been lucky. I haven't had too many instances of this. I think we usually
Mm.
cut it off right away and it's done. But
Yeah.
I often just pull the girl in that is perhaps having the issues and just be like, I
Yeah.
want to know from your point of view what's being told to you. Are you okay? I want you to
Yeah.
know that I am listening to you and I'm going to do what I can to fix this. And then I'll pull in the other girl and just say, I've noticed. I never ever say so and so has come spoken to me, this is what's
Yeah.
happened. I always say, I've noticed that perhaps you don't know that I'm always around, but surprise, I'm always around. And
I see
that's my
everything.
job. And I said, I've noticed that the way you've spoken to her is actually not acceptable for the team. And I wanted to discuss with you, perhaps, if there's anything going on that I don't know about. And if not, let's chat and figure out a better way to work as a team, because the way you're speaking to her is not conducive for a team environment, and I won't have it on the interior team. And I think you just have
Right.
to be quite firm, because you can't sugarcoat. I know that, oh, it's okay, but let's just try better. If you're being mean to
Right.
someone, you know that you're coming across like that. I don't think
Right.
there's much of an excuse for repetitively being like that. So, yeah, I
Mm.
think I try and navigate it that way. And from there, if I don't see any kind of progress, I will sometimes as well put them on like a 2-week review. I'll just say, we're going to do a 2-week work review. I expect this and this from you. And we're going to work together as a team to help you get to that point. But you also need to help yourself. And in 2 weeks, we're going to sit down and have a chat. And if I find in 2 weeks that things aren't better, and, you know, because I think your work does start to slack when you're putting that much energy into making someone else's day miserable. You're not putting all your energy into work. So your work's going to slip. And I think if you just really say, you know, this is what I expect from you, this is what I told you when I hired you, it's your decision. And I think you just have to put the onus on them, but also be a listening ear, because for all you know, there's something horrific that's happened at home and they don't know how to deal with it. So I think it's being that firm but fair thing that I spoke about earlier. That's really important, for them to know that they can always speak to you, but also you have expectations for them.
That's amazing. I know, like, the industry is really moving that way with having open door policies, which I think is great. Like the helm training that's come in, really advancing a lot, which is for the better.
Yeah, I massively agree. And I think I got an email recently that some of the companies that provide medical, like MedAir and that sort of thing, they're now sending out emails about mental health and going into that conversation, which is something that's so important, because yachting is not something that is usually spoken about, because everyone's so paranoid, like, oh, I don't want to lose my job if I tell them that I've been feeling a bit down recently, or whatever the case may be. So I just think if we have this community of kindness where everyone feels as though they belong, that they're going to be more open to talking about things. And if everyone is at a place where they can talk and get rid of anxieties that maybe they're struggling with, that we're going to alleviate the bullying, because a lot of the bullying, I think, comes from personal struggles. It's just this kind of big circle. And at the end of the day, it's just kind of like Ellen DeGeneres says, like, just be kind to one another. You know, it's something so simple. And it blows my mind how often I have to kind of repeat that. But it's just one of those things.
That's true. You never know what someone else is going through, you know, like, you know, you never know what that person's experiencing. And if someone is being awful to you, it's most likely because it's something that they're dealing with in themselves, or you're setting off something that they don't like about themselves that they're seeing in you, or something like that. Like, it's always an inner reflection. And when you're living on board together, you're living together, you're working together. I always call it like being in a rock tumbler, like you're getting all of your hard edges off. It's real. That is so important, the mental health thing, because you can't just be like, hey, bye, end of the day, bye. It's like you're sharing dinner, you're sharing a bathroom, most likely. It's never ending. That's
Absolutely.
So important.
The girls always joke, because at the end of our morning or end of our evening meeting in the laundry every night, I'm like, okay, girls, thank you. See you at 8 tomorrow morning. And they're like, yeah, or 5 minutes in the crew mess. Because we all know we're about to like hang out all night.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's amazing. So for people who are going from like second stew to their first chief stew job, what are your best tips for, you think, what they're going to experience, or what's going to be really different for them?
Yeah, I think first, the dynamic with your second stew. So if, let's say, you know, maybe your third stew's gone up to second and then you've gone up to chief, that dynamic will change a little bit, because obviously instead of being someone who was above her but still very much, you know, at equal with her, you do now have that level of responsibility, and it's now on your shoulders to ensure that the interior is in impeccable condition at all times. So there are kind of those expectations that come along with it, and there's a lot more admin than I think some people realize. Obviously, boat dependent. I'm on 65 at the moment, and going from a 50 to a 65 as chief stew, I did notice, you know, there is a lot more kind of admin side to things, and a lot more meetings and head of department meetings and that sort of thing. And I guess my biggest change moving forward was probably just the amount of planning that I had to do to make sure that I was always on top of things. And luckily, I mean, I wanted to be a wedding planner, a kind of a natural planner. But I just didn't really anticipate every single job that the girls do is because you've told them to do it, and because it's on the list and you've trained them on that. You can't rely on someone to give you your monthly jobs and to get you through a 7-month GPR period to keep the girls busy and motivated and excited. That's on you. But that's something that I really enjoy now, and I've I kind of think it's become second nature after certain time on board. You do learn the interior so intimately that you know what's coming up and that sort of thing. But it's certainly a change, a big
Yeah.
change moving. But I think if you're ready and if the boat is right for you, it will just be such a natural progression that it
Yeah.
shouldn't be too full on.
Yeah. How many
Yeah.
years do you reckon it takes? Like, how long did it take you to go from stew to chief stew?
It took me 4 years, and
Yeah.
I was actually offered my first chief stew job after a year and a half, and it was on a
Wow.
40-meter private, and I declined it because, I mean, at that point, I was too young to even buy alcohol in America. I was like, oh, maybe that's a sign. I can't even provision for the guests. But also,
Right.
I just felt like I had so much more to learn. There's some incredible women and chief stews in this industry who are so
Yeah.
knowledgeable, and I just wanted to spend a few more years working and learning from them. And I think too, having a partner, perhaps, I took quite a few second jobs when maybe I was more leaning towards stepping up, but I took the
Right.
second jobs because it meant I got to work with Ben. So it did
Yeah.
take me maybe longer than other girls, maybe the same amount. I think everyone's so different.
Yeah.
And it's right place, right time. I was lucky though. My first chief stew job, I had already been on the boat for a year. So I knew the bosses really, really well. We had a great relationship. Myself and the captain got along really, really well. And then I was on board for another 2 years. So it was, for
Oh,
me,
wow.
just a great situation to step up in. I went on
Yeah.
holiday, came back from holiday, and the other chief stew had left, which we all knew about. And so I knew on the plane as I was coming back, I was like, oh, I'm chief stew now. And I was so excited. And
Oh,
it was just,
cool.
for me, it was a great opportunity, and I couldn't pass it up. And
Yeah.
absolutely loved it.
That's the best situation, I feel, for people to step up to chief stew and they know the boat already. They know,
Yeah.
like you say, you know the owners, you know the whole situation because you don't have to go from like learning how to be a chief stew and then also learning the boat with a
Mm,
whole bunch of other stews like underneath you
yeah.
at the same time. Like I can imagine that's difficult and intimidating, especially if there's a second on board who thought she was getting the chief stew job and then you all of a sudden arrive
Always
as your
awkward.
first chief stew. Yeah.
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 Hi.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
thing at a time. I think that that's really smart. And I think
Mm,
people can jump the gun, but it's always going to show up later. I think you're right. There's so many women out there who are such amazing chief stews that if you can learn, because if you learn one person's way and then you go and learn someone else's way also, like there's going to be some things that are same, some things that are different. You
mm-hmm.
can learn from that. And even if you get, I think, a bad leader, you can still learn from them because you learn what not to do. I think that's a wise decision. I've seen
Mm.
people, I've been yachting for a year. I've done two boats. Like I know everything now. I'm gonna be a chief stew on a 50 meter, and I'm just like, whoa. Like, what if,
Okay.
what? All right. I don't
Yeah.
know if that's the best idea. Like, because
Right.
these owners, they know fine dining, they know silver service, they know how their
Mm-hmm.
boat should be run. And if they can see through you, if you're not experienced well enough,
Yeah,
they
I
will see
agree.
right through it.
I
Yeah.
totally agree.
That's,
And I always say to my girls, I'm like, it's okay to not rush. And
yeah.
I think it's so important for them to know that they don't have to get to Chief Stew tomorrow. And
Yeah.
there's just so much value in someone taking their time to really learn and to appreciate how much they could learn from other stews.
Right.
Regardless of whether they're a junior stew or a chief stew, that's something that
Right.
as a chief stew I've always said to my second and said to the whole team is we are going to learn something from every person a part of this team, regardless of
Mm,
whether you started yesterday or you started 10 years ago. You are going to bring something to this team that we're going to learn. Um,
that's amazing.
and that's something an old chief stew of mine taught me. And I just think it's so important that you don't get to that point of, I'm a chief stew, I know everything. Because I
Right.
don't know everything. I will never know everything. And that's totally fine with me because I think the job would be boring if you knew everything. You
Right.
have to always be learning and exploring and um, yeah, just having that mindset I think is really important.
Yeah, because otherwise you get stale. I think if you're like, nope,
Mm,
I know everything, that's the way it is. Like,
definitely,
I think
definitely.
that it takes a big person, though, I think, to be humble like that, to say, I'm always open to learning, and you can teach me something as a junior or even as, a second. I think if people don't have that, it's just, they get stagnant and stale, and that doesn't help anyone. kudos to you, because that takes a lot, I think, for people to say.
I guess the way I've always seen it is we just have to play off of each other's strengths. And as a chief stew, that's something that I've learned, and I wish that I knew that going into being a chief stew, is your girls, every person is going to excel in at least one thing. There's going to be
Right.
something, whether I have one girl on board at the moment, and this was her first season, and you give her a messy closet, and she will turn that thing over into a piece of art. And she's
Wow.
amazing. And yes, there are other things that she's learning, but she's phenomenal at just organization and putting everything in order. And her brain just works in that, you know, that kind of straight line, straight line, straight line way of
Yeah.
keeping everything in order. So you have to play off of your girls' strengths, because
Right.
that's going to encourage them when they do something that's really good that they know they're good at. That's going to encourage them. So when they do something that, you know, they're learning, you can say, hey, remember when you did that? You did a great job. So I have no
All
doubt
right.
moving forward with this project that you're going to do an awesome job too.
Oh,
So
that's so awesome.
yeah, I just think playing off of your girls' strengths. And also, it helps you. Less work for you when everyone's doing a brilliant job, you know, in their
Right.
tasks. It's a
Right.
win-win.
Less having to, yeah, check up on them or
Oh,
tell
definitely.
them. That's amazing.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think people, as long as they can enjoy what they're doing and they're being given those things, I think that's so amazing. And like enjoy it while you can when you're not the chief stew, because once
Yes.
you become chief stew,
It's,
you've got that responsibility for
yeah,
a long time.
for sure.
That's
Definitely. I always say, I'm
that's
like, enjoy your
amazing.
5 o'clock finish now, ladies, because one day.
Yeah. It's never ending.
Yeah.
Like the crew don't always see that, I think, and they
No.
don't always understand that once you get into that leadership position role, like it's going to be pretty full on. So enjoy it while you can.
Yeah.
Have fun. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. Embrace it,
That's
girls.
so awesome. That's amazing that you give them their tasks. I was just thinking my first chief stew because I'd actually gotten into yachting to go to fashion school. I was just going to do
Oh,
one
wow.
year and that was it. Me done. Obviously didn't happen,
Hmm.
but she let me sew like everything. She got me like a nice sewing machine. She's like, "What kind do you want?" Um, any hemming that needed to be done, she got me to do it. It was just that really made it
Oh,
enjoyable.
that's brilliant.
Yeah. So what's your strength, would you say?
Oh, gosh. Um, I
Planning.
always find these questions so funny. I always find it's so weird talking about myself in that way. I guess I think what gives me the most passion at the moment is training. I absolutely love training the girls and just seeing that progression.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you saw my Instagram not too long ago, but I created these service training packets.
That's
So I did
amazing.
napkin folds on the table, took photos of each step. So I did like the top 10 kind of Mrs. favorite napkin folds.
Oh wow.
We do like table setting challenges on board. So I'll say to the girls, Mister's having an evening business meeting. It's going to be dinner. It'll be silver service, this many courses. We're going to have oysters, so oyster picks have to be on the table. I'll give them the menu so they can go through the cutlery.
That's
They can decide
awesome.
what crockery set it is because we have different sets depending on what we're serving.
Right.
And I'll say, right, you're in this pair, you're in that pair. I'll put them on two different tables. And I'll say, you have 1 hour to come up with a table setting. And because this business meeting is at the end of the guest trip, there's no flowers left. So you have to come up with something with what we have on board. And
Right.
then the girls, they're like running around like kids in a candy store. It's so fun because it's
Oh,
just
that's
such a fun
sweet.
exercise to do. And then when they come on service, they've already got that table setting in the back of their mind. You know, if we run out of
Ah,
flowers, they know that they've got that setting. And they're just more confident in the interior, learning where everything is in the cupboards. And then the
yeah.
senior girls have more of a chance to train the junior girls on setting the table. And it's just fun things like that for me give me so much joy.
That's
And it's just,
amazing.
I love it. Yeah, it's great fun.
Yeah, I
And table
remember.
settings. Oh, I love table settings.
Oh, me too. That was always my favorite. Cool. I remember seeing that story on your Instagram and I was like, what a good idea. That's so fun. So
Mm.
much good stuff in your Instagram stories. People follow her. It's awesome. I was always
Thank you.
breakfast girl on my last super yacht, so that was really fun. I worked with the chef from like 6 a.m. until noon, our breakfast went. and we had so much fun. He actually owns Hardy Park Bistro here in Fort Lauderdale, so that's
Oh,
really
no
cool.
way.
I still get to go and see him and say hi. Yeah, after that boat,
That is so cool.
yeah, he left to start that, so it's nice to go and get food from a super yacht chef like at a restaurant. It's
You're
awesome.
guaranteed a good meal.
Yeah, it's always good. It's always fresh. It's always seasonal. So that's really nice.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah. Are you guys going to be stopping by Fort Lauderdale on your way to the Caribbean?
No, we're actually one of those boats that doesn't require a B1, B2. I think me
Ah,
and my other half are some of the only two crew on board with them. So,
wow.
no, the boat doesn't go into US waters. Just, I think over the last couple of years, it's just been really challenging for crew to get their B1, B2s. And
Yeah.
yeah, we just have quite a few kind of senior head of department crew members that don't have. So we don't go, and it certainly doesn't prohibit us from traveling loads in the Caribbean, which is
Yeah.
good because
Yeah.
I've always kind of done more. Um, every time I've done the Caribbean, it's always been kind of US based out of Fort Lauderdale with
Yeah.
trips. Whereas this time around, this past season, we were based in Antigua. So it
Oh,
was
cool.
really great fun just to be based somewhere a little bit different and kind of experience the Caribbean life a bit more.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. Hey, I know like in the past years that it's been really difficult for people to be on B2, and it's just
Mm,
interesting hearing about how that is affecting boats coming to the States. And yeah,
yeah.
it's not good. We need a yacht crew visa really badly.
They need to sort that out.
I know.
Yeah.
It's really
Maybe that can be
bad.
our next project.
The U.S. Super Yacht Association, they do a lot of work in Congress and with trying to
Oh,
get things
fantastic.
done. Yeah, there is change happening slowly, but it's
Yeah.
slow. Yeah,
Slowly but surely.
yeah. What are some of your most favorite places that you've been to in the world while traveling on yachts?
Oh, gosh. I was so fortunate. Back in 2011, I joined my very first boat in Cuba. And this was before the recent travel craze of going to
Ah,
Cuba happened.
right.
So I went with my crew, and we were kind of just so totally submerged into this incredible culture. And on our weekends off, we went to the most amazing dive spots with plane wrecks, and it was just incredible. It was
Wow.
such an experience and something I hope to, experience again and definitely travel there as well. But also, as a proud Canadian,
Yes.
I did spend quite a bit of time in Victoria and Vancouver, and I think just it's something special when the boat pulls into your hometown.
Wow.
And my parents were on the dock, and my sisters,
That's
and our
amazing.
owners were just kind of waving at everybody. And it was just such a proud moment for me to be like, this is where I live.
That's
What an
amazing.
incredible city. Because Vancouver from the water is just something else. And
Yeah.
it was so nice. On my lunch break, my mom came down and with the
Oh,
guests on, I would go off on my break for 2 hours and go have pizza with my mom. And it
that's
was just
so sweet.
something so surreal after 5 years of, sailing different waters to just finally be somewhere that was so um, normal to me. I don't know.
Right.
It was amazing.
That's
Yeah, it was such a
crazy.
special moment.
I
Yeah, very
couldn't
cool.
imagine. Did you
Very
guys
cool.
do all the inlets up in there, like around the island in between?
Yeah, so we did Indian Arm quite a lot up in North Vancouver,
Awesome.
and then we went all the way up to Campbell River. We did Desolation Sound,
Nice.
all around there. And we were so lucky. That was the boat I was on for 3 years. We were just so lucky on there because we started in Puerto Vallarta in Mexico.
Oh, cool.
And then we went up to San Francisco and Seattle and stopped all along the way. So it was
Wow.
just really breathtaking to do the West Coast. Not a lot of people on boats get to do that. So
Yeah.
very fortunate.
Yeah, I did a poll on our Instagram the other day. I was like, who's been to Alaska? And like seven,
Oh, I saw.
yeah, like seven people said yes, and then like 46 people said not yet. I was like, wow, we need to get everyone over there. It's
I
stunning.
know. Oh, I wish that we had made it up to Alaska.
Yeah.
The guests were just so in love with BC, and I understand why. It's the
Yeah.
best place on earth.
Yeah.
But I would
Exactly.
have loved to have gone to Alaska one
Yeah.
day.
No, it's
One day.
stunning. Did you guys ever,
Yeah.
do you remember if you went to Dent Island?
Ooh.
It's
Mm,
it's like little
I'm
log
not too sure.
cabins. Okay. Yeah, that's where I learned about yachting. I used to work, the Nordstrom family actually owns it. Of course, I didn't know who they were because I was Canadian. I was like, "Hi, Sally." Like she'd come like walk her little dogs. It's like then I went to America and I was like, "Nordstrom's. Oh, that's where they got all that money to have a private."
Yeah,
Yeah, so they
makes
yeah.
sense.
So they've got like a fishing resort there, but then they redid the docks to have like super yachts come in. And
Oh,
yeah,
fantastic.
C1 pulled in, which is I can't remember the owner, Craig McCaw's boat. And their crew came up and they were telling me about yachting, and I was just like, "You've got to be joking me!" And that's how I learned about the industry. I was like, "I need to go and do this. It's so fun."
Yeah.
But it's stunning up in there, and if people want,
Oh, it is.
man, we did last year. If people want to experience it, you can get cheap flights within America, fly to Seattle, get on the ferry, and go up to Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we did, and
Yes.
seeing the inlets, like, oh, it's just stunning. I love
Oh,
it.
it's amazing. And it's just something you can explain. I mean, in the Med, you get like dolphins and everyone freaks out. But
Yeah.
at home in Vancouver and stuff, we were seeing killer whales. At one point, we even saw like a bear on the side. And I was like, this
Oh
is
my
something
gosh.
you can't even explain. It's just,
Um,
you know, when you just want to take a photo with your memory and just always, always relive that moment. It's
yeah.
just so incredible. And the bosses had an Alaskan Malamute who was going nuts.
I can
And
imagine.
it was just like such a crazy, is this real life moment. It was pretty incredible.
That's so amazing. Did you find like so like going from BC, because I'm from like a small town and I was like, I need to get out of here. I can't wait to go see the world. And then like I've was so lucky to see so many places before I left yachting. Like I went to Galapagos and Tahiti and I've done the Med and like all these other places.
Wow.
Yeah, but like after seeing the whole world over, I still think that British Columbia is stunning, like one of the most beautiful places
Yes.
in the world. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
after going everywhere,
Yeah,
I was like,
100%.
oh wait, yeah, where I'm from is really beautiful.
Yeah, you're like, I actually had it really good.
Yeah, you don't know
Yeah,
until you
yeah,
leave.
absolutely. I think for us, I mean, we were just so lucky because we were based in Victoria for so long
Yeah.
that my husband now is so, so dead set on us moving there. And I'm like,
Oh my gosh,
yes.
you're so
We're just,
lucky.
I mean, not anytime soon, but
Yeah,
yeah, it's just, it's funny how through yachting you just find that one place that feels like home.
yeah,
And yeah,
that's amazing.
it's been
Where's
brilliant.
Ben from?
He's from the UK.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
lovely. My husband's originally from South Africa, but anytime he's been up to Canada, we've always gone for Christmases. So he's only seen it as like a tundra, and he's like, "You live in the wilderness."
Yeah, you should go in the summer.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, we need to go in the summer, and then you're really gonna see how beautiful it is. Because like my grandparents live on a ski hill, so he's like literally thinks it's all like remote, like barrenness. So like, we need to go in the summer. There's people, there's fun things. It's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah, there's
so fun.
civilization.
Yeah, stunning. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Oh, Gemma, thank you so much for your time today. I really, really appreciate it. And
Of
yeah, if
course.
anyone has questions about yachting, like give her a follow on Instagram. It's at the Yacht Stew, and check out her website at theyachtstew.com.